bless your heart. That was my mother-in-law's favorite catchphrase. And that pretty much sums up the whole of her life. Darlene Marshall made it her business to bless the hearts of others. Grandma Dar, as we called her, was no ordinary mother-in-law. She was a blessing to everyone, even those she met in passing at the grocery store or the McDonald's where she got her coffee every morning. She never met a stranger. When I was 16, before I married into the family, we went to the same church, and I was going on a missions trip, and I had everything but a good camera. Darlene heard that I needed one, so she immediately volunteered her own very nice, expensive one so that I could take it with me. This was no week-long missions trip. This was 2 months in South America. I would take that camera deep into the forests of Alto Paraná in Paraguay, but she didn't mind. She just wanted to share. And that was her way. She was supremely generous. I remember soon after I married into the family, I would go down frequently to visit with her at the family farm. Inevitably, before I left, she'd pile on stuff for me to take with me. Good stuff, like meat from her freezer, or a treasure she found that she thought I would like, or something she got on special at the supermarket. That was just her way, always giving. I think all of us in the Marshall family would agree that Darlene was the heart and soul of our clan, and we're still in shock that she's gone. She passed away on April 1st, sitting in her rocking chair. 1 minute she was there, and the next she was in heaven in the presence of Jesus. There was no diminishment of her faculties, except for a little bit of her hearing. She was busy and active right up until the end. After she passed, my husband and his brothers went down to the house, and they saw on the counter a stack of Easter chocolate crosses that she was going to hand out to friends and neighbors. And beside that was a pile of Easter cards, half filled out. Even till the end, she was always thinking of others. Darlene loved Jesus, and she wanted you to know that he loved you too. I remember soon after we were married, Van and I, Grandpa Van and Grandma Dar took us out to eat. And before we left that restaurant, she had a gospel tract in her hand, and she handed it to the waiter. And I remember thinking in my 20s, wow, that's pretty cool. She wants everyone to know about God. Well, years later, I'd find myself doing the same thing. Grandma Dar loved her grandchildren. For years, she was taking care of them, starting out when they were babies and then into their toddler years, and later on as they were teens. They would come over to her house. She and Grandpa Van, I think, were the stability they needed during those tumultuous teenage years. She wanted them to know they were well loved and that God had a good plan for their lives. Eventually, Grandpa Van would come down with cancer, and for years he struggled, and she was devoted to him. Darlene went to bat for him when she felt that the nurses and doctors at the hospitals weren't taking care of him properly, and her intervention saved his life a couple of times. When Grandpa Van eventually passed away, I remember standing on one side of his casket and Darlene was on the other, and she looked at us and she said, "Now kids, don't be too sad. Grandpa's in a better place now. There's no more pain, no more suffering." And I remember thinking, Grandma, I should be saying this to you. But that was just her way. She was always thinking of other people. In the devotional Streams in the Desert, George Matheson seems to reflect the life of Darlene when he writes, "We are doing more good than we know, sowing seeds and giving men true thoughts of Christ, to which they will refer one day as the first things that started them thinking of God. I shall be satisfied if no great mausoleum is erected over my grave, but the simple souls shall gather there when I am gone and say, he, or in this case she, was a good woman. She wrought no miracles, but she spoke words about Christ, which led me to know Jesus for myself." Grandma Dar, thank you for your kind-hearted, generous spirit. You weren't famous in any traditional sense, but your example meant so much, not only to people in the family, but people in the community as well. We will miss your infectious laugh and will love you forever. Bless your heart. If you have a memory you'd like to share of Darlene Marshall, please share it in the comments below. We can't celebrate her life right now in any traditional funeral, but we can celebrate her life in a unique way online, like this. Maybe you didn't know Darlene, but there was a relative recently who passed away that you can't have a funeral for, and you just want to say a few things down below. Please feel free to do so.